Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining for our PatternFly demo. In our demo agenda, you can see a link to our YouTube channel. I'll be posting our demo after today's meeting and our meeting link in case you want to share it out, as well as a link to our forum where we answer any questions that may come up today. It's a really active community and we want to see even more activity there. So if you have any questions, we try to keep those answers coming. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. Starting with CSS, Sarah's going to go over the loading spinner.
Hey everyone, just let me share. Okay, so this is a design that Michael Celadonia put together, and it's pretty cool with a bunch of different animations all working together. There's a base one, and then there's some additional spins on top of that. So when I'm going to just give you a peek at all the little pieces that go together to make it. Right now, I just have it in.
And Sarah, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but do you mind making your window that you're presenting larger? Awesome.
Yep. I can increase the size too. So, yeah. So this is just all the little pieces, and it's slowed down and some colors put on it so you can see everything. And then the final thing came out to look like this. And it's right now, we've been tweaking all the parameters in a code pen, but it's going to be, I'm starting to put it in a component now. So that's work in progress. And that's all I have to show, unless there are any questions.
Great, thanks, Sarah. And heading on over.
Sorry, Sarah. Is there a? I don't know if you put up a PR yet, but is there a link somewhere? I'm looking at it in the in Blue Jeans. I know it's probably not doesn't represent what.
I will throw a link to the code pen in the chat so you can take a peek at it.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sarah. And then heading on over to the React side, Jitani's going to do a readout of our completed issues.
All right, let me share my screen. All right, so this sprint we completed 29 issues. We completed an issue with the modal to add the render prop to allow for custom title content. Donor chart's main label is misleading due to roundup. Issue with the accordion. We had updated the examples and add definition list as a use case in the example. The select component, unable to search by callback function, switch add prop for aria labeled by, switch label prop, switch label props breaking chain. Then there was a issue for the OUI attributes. We added the skip to content to point to the primary content container. Tooltip support. There's an issue with the trigger for widget tastic that was fixed. And tracking PatternFly versions in their incremental build. The use case of zero of negative number of items for pagination was fixed. Updated form demos to use check instead of a radio. The select menu had incorrect closing behavior. React docs were broken, that was fixed. We updated the charts to use Red Hat font. The select is plain prop was missing. Donor chart was updated as well. For the warning when the donut width was 0. The pagination example was added for working pagination example. Stack layout has misleading docs. Allow manage sidebar to default to closed. Add wrap. We add a wrap prop for TD and TH cells in a key head, and then what else? Select variant type ahead, and form submits the form and refreshes the page. That was fixed. Adding types to button. Sorry, I'm trying to put in percent mode. A bug with the chart area was fixed. Icon button size looks out of place, and topology was fixed, replacing load dash ES with load dash. And load dash ES problems in React table, those were fixed. And React virtualized dependencies is not tree shaking was fixed. So that's where we fixed this iteration. The issues that were closed.
Great, thanks, Tony. And for a little bit of a deeper dive into these issues, we'll keep going on the list here in React. First, we have some seed project updates. Who is giving the seed project updates today?
Hey, Rachel, that would be me. Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen here. All right. So we've made some good progress on the seed project. In case anyone's not familiar, PatternFly Seed is basically a build scaffolding utility to get started with for new projects. And
Hey, Michael, I'm so sorry to interrupt. We have a lot of interfering sound. Just a reminder to go ahead and mute your mics if you're not currently presenting. That would be awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Yeah, PatternFly Seed, if you're not familiar, it's basically a project that'll help you get started if you're starting a new web application from scratch. It's built on PatternFly and React and TypeScript, Webpack, all that good stuff. So basically, it started as there was a need to show people how to configure applications that were built on Webpack that use PatternFly, and it's basically outgrown that. I think we got to a good point. People were understanding how to get the initial configuration up, and then it was like, okay, what next? And so everybody was kind of running it, or not everyone, but a lot of people were running into the same issues and having to solve the same problems, and we were seeing different ways of kind of putting in things like Chrome and routing into the application. So we basically took the C project a step further, and we've added in two notable things. First and foremost is routing. So there's client-side routing now. You see we have a dashboard route. I can go to a support route. I have support for 404 pages. So if I go to some random URL that doesn't exist, it will give me a stubbed out 404 page. So this will take care of like a lot of what you would have to do on your own. This will get you started a lot faster. So in addition to routing, we've got Chrome. So we've got this main header here. We've got this navigation here on the left. This is the main vertical page layout from the page component in React. So it's pretty much standard, implementation as far as that goes. So a couple of more things. So basically, if you fork the C project, this is what you'll get out of the box. It's got two stub routes. What you can do is basically copy the code that is used to generate this dashboard, and you can build out as many pages as you like. The other noteworthy thing is that we've added support for async routes and async components as well. So that's what the support page is. It's probably not coming through very well on the over BlueJeans, but there's a brief loading screen that you'll see the first time you go to the support route. This is a really great thing to have in place, and I'll just quickly show what the code looks like here to do that. So basically, this is our main routes file. So if you're going to extend, this C project and start adding your stuff, probably the quickest way to do it is to come into this route file and basically copy one of these definitions. These are basically the pages of your app. So you specify what component you want to load, what the navigation link should be, what the route path should be in the URL address bar. You specify a title that will be applied anytime you go to that route. And so if we look at the support route specifically, this one's interesting because it follows a different path in the code. But basically, it's an async route, which has the benefit of not pulling in all of the JavaScripts and all of the CSS and any other assets that are needed for that route on load of the application. So basically, you don't get any of this support stuff until you actually go to the support route. We could see that in action by looking at this network tab. If I refresh the page here, we'll see we get a bunch of things happening over the network, and only at the point in which I go to support do I actually get the CSS and the JavaScript for the support page. So if you have a big sub module in your application that you don't want to load immediately, this is a great way to kind of improve the performance of the app. What else do we got? So we made some performance improve. So I'll post these links in the chat, but basically this is a PR that added all the Chrome and routing. In addition to that, we've made some performance improvements, which was mostly tuning the Webpack configuration. A lot of it was just options, but one of the notable things that I wanted to call out was that we're basically in these module loader definitions, we're basically registering all of the individual directories that PatternFly assets may come out of. We could just do this very simply and add a blanket, say look under node modules and find everything under Patternfly, but you end up with performance issues. So in case anyone was wondering, that's why we register all of these individual directories. This will cause Webpack to only look through the directories that it actually needs to find stuff. Let's see, do we have anything else? I think that is pretty much it. Yeah, if anyone has questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Hey, Michael, I just had one question. First, I think this is really great to see this. I think this could really be useful for a number of reasons. And one thing I'm wondering as I look at this is it would be cool to have almost like demos of different common page types. I noticed you have dashboard, for example, to actually populate that with some a default dashboard layout or something like that. Is that does that just become a natural extension of this if we wanted to put page demos in here?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we can take it in any direction we want, as far as I'm concerned. It's really a matter of what do people need most often. Yeah. What can we kind of provide out of the box? That's the main thing that I kind of weigh. On the other hand, is it's a goal for me for developers not to have to fork this project and then delete a bunch of stuff that they don't need.
Yeah, okay.
That's just kind of a pet peeve. But I think it's a good idea. What we could certainly do is in the short term, maybe do something like publish, 2 or 3 branches that maybe have different variations of that. I know some people are not, keen on having to dig through branches and whatnot, but that might be a way to do that in the short term. Another thing that we could do, so I'll just mention one more thing. So there's an app layout that this kind of the changes that we made regarding the Chrome kind of lend itself to do what you just described. So we basically created what's called an app layout component. And I'll just share my screen again because it'll be easier. I thought we might go here. So in this main definition of the app, one of the main components you'll see is app layout. So we made this level of abstraction because there's multiple types of layout. So if you look in here, this is basically a standard page, vertical, page layout. If someone wanted to change that to another type of page layout, they don't have to change everything about how all this is put together. What they can do is basically come in here to this one file. You can make your adjustments in this one place, and it'll immediately take effect. And this mirrors pretty much exactly the page component in PatternFly React. So if you look at the demos there, I don't think anyone will have a problem modifying this to match whatever type of page layout that they're looking for. It's pretty much a mirror of the examples. So does that answer the question, or give me?
I think it does answer my question. Yeah, it's something we could talk about more offline.
Okay.
Yeah,
it
just,
might be
I
a
think,
useful extension of this work. At times, I felt like it would be great to have something that we could quickly prototype something if we wanted to say do usability test a certain design or something like that with real code. It'd be great to be able to. I can see where we could easily build things like that off of this.
yeah, just so some of the guidance that Mike and I have been giving on this, Matt, is that this is not meant to handle use cases that are specific, that belong in demos. So we want a very clear documentation plan for Patternfly, where we're not confusing our users by looking in the seed application, which is meant to be a starter for demos of things. So that's what the website documentation is for.
Yeah, no, I get that. So, anyways, just interesting to see this and to know that this exists. So, thanks, Michael.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks so much, Michael, for going over that. All right, and then Don is going to cover the drawer component and select component support for user-defined objects.
You guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So last sprint, Core added an experimental drawer component. So this sprint, React pulled it in. If you want to use it, you're going to have to import the drawer directly from experimental. And just a word of caution that because anything in experimental is subject to change, so if the API does change, it's open to possible changes depending on what happens, but it's something to be aware of. So we have two demos in here. We have one where the drawer just slides over, it covers the text content underneath it. And then the other one we have is where the drawer slides over and actually pushes the content over so that you can actually still see it. And it tells you the two that if you wanted to have it in line, you set this value, you'll actually get the content pushed over, and the drawer won't actually go over it. And these are all the props that they have for it. That's what we have for drawer component. And for type ahead, for custom objects, a request came in to have the ability to have objects that actually have, for the select, they could actually take more data than just the string. So now we added the ability to provide a value, so you can give a JavaScript object, and if you do, then you can basically create any object you want. So in this case, we're creating more additional information in states where we have name, abbreviation, capital, founded, and then the important thing that you need to do is a toString, because right now we actually use the string to display to the user. So you need to provide this if you're going to use a custom object. And what it will do is it'll actually go ahead and you can basically put any string you want, and it returns to the user, to the developer, the actual value. Instead of just the string, you'll get the entire object that you have with all the data that you want. And that's it. Any questions?
Great, thanks, Don. And Tatani's going to cover the default alert.
All right, so this sprint we added the default alert variation of the alert. So this first alert here, it's a default alert. And right now, in order to set an alert as default, you have to set the variant to default. In the future, we will change this so that the alert will actually default to default. But right now, it defaults to info, and if we change that, it would be a breaking change. So that's it.
Great, thanks to Tanya. And Jesse's going to share a fix to pagination and added support for expandables.
Well, let me go ahead and share my screen here. Can you see it? Okay, so
Yes, it can.
okay, so one of the issues that we saw come up is that basically in pagination, updating the page prompt didn't actually cause the page number text field to update. So if you'd added an external event, such as a button press, this is what would happen, which David showed here, that if he clicked on the increase page, it would increase the number over here, but this number itself wouldn't increase. So I created a PR to fix this, and to kind of show this in action, it keeps all of the normal pagination functionality, but also now we can add an external event and make sure that the page prop actually increases it. In terms of the expandable, we had a request to support uncontrolled expandable. So I created a PR to do just that. Before we just had the simple expandable, but now we have the uncontrolled expandable as well. And those are the two that I really wanted to show you guys on the React side.
Great, thanks so much, Jesse. And Jenny.
Hey everyone, let me just share my screen here. All right. You guys can see that, right?
Yes, we can.
All right, awesome. So the first thing that I've been working on this sprint was the Katacoda demos with Dana. So yesterday we just finished up what we were working on. So if I can give you guys a demo here. So I've been mostly working on module 3, and we can take a look here. But now all the content is there, and I was sort of in charge of making everything show up and all the content displayed. So if we start the scenario, you can see that all this content is here, and you can copy things to the editor. But the thing that Dana and I were working on most recently was getting this to auto reload on changes. So if you set up this port here, right now you get the welcome to PatternFly thing showing up as a default. In the past, like when you copy this to the editor, you'd have to press the reload button in order to get it to reload. But now we can just click copy to editor and it should reload automatically. And we did this by adding gulp to our Katacoda training project. So we have this gulp file now where we're using a package called browser sync and gulp file include as well. So browser sync watches files for changes, the HTML file specifically. And once it notices any changes, it would refresh the browser. And so yeah, this is what pretty much our gulp file looks like. We spent a bunch of time on this these past few days. So it was exciting to get it to work. So that's one of the things I've been up to. I've also been working on React tables and virtualized tables with Patrick Riley. So there have been a lot of TypeScript conversions lately and TypeScript things that needed to be done. So I've been working on that and just learning a lot about types and things like that. So for example, one of the things I've been up to is converting table.test.js to TypeScript. So yeah, like in the beginning, I was sort of setting anything to the any type, but I've been in touch with Patrick, who sort of was giving me lots of feedback on what types to use and where to find those types and why certain types make more sense than others. And I've also been involved with virtualized tables as well. So there was also some tests that needed to be converted in virtualized table that have been converted to TypeScript, and I've been in touch with him as well on that. All the pull requests I've made were to his fork of PatternFly React. So I've had some things that have been merged and closed and whatnot. So that's all over there. And then most recently, yesterday, I just made another PR for form select. So the is required prop was missing from form select, and it wasn't being inherited by the parent. So I added that prop to form select because that prop already existed in form group for some reason, and text input, which is like those are all the children of the form group component. So I added that prop in there, and there's a PR open for that as well. And yeah, that's about it for me. Let me just stop sharing here.
Great, thanks, Jenny. All right, and then on the infrastructure side, Zach, are you going to go over Circle CI?
I can present that real fast. Share my screen. You all see? Excellent. Okay. So this affects our core devs. Travis was having some issues with Ali, so with the Chrome version that Travis provided. So instead, we're just moving to Circle. So replace the Travis config file with the Circle config, and there's a few other nice things we can do. We can upload PR previews to Surge now instead of having to use Netlify, and the Surge ones will update after every push to the PR. And yeah, we still update the GitHub pages on the GitHub pages branch so that the pf4.patternfly.org still updates. And we now get a lot of things for free, like our tests get split up here at the bottom, and you can see like if that just the Ali test failed, if the linting failed, if the build failed, etc. So yep, the flow looks like this. Once it loads, maybe it won't load. Nah, not gonna load. Okay. But all you have to know is it runs all these, and some in parallel now too, so it's slightly faster. All right, that's all I got. Questions?
Great, thanks, Zach.
No? All right.
Moving on over to our PatternFly website, Joachim's going to share an update to the blog header.
Yeah. So I worked on updating the blog header that we have to match the one that we have on the .org website for v4. And specifically, if you look at the issue, there isn't actually like a PR against it. That's because all of the work happened within the WordPress interface and editors that we have. But I did outline the issues that I made, the changes that I've made within this issue, if you want to take a look at that. But yeah, if you go to our website, patternfly.org/v4, if you scroll to the bottom, you get the link to the blog. And now if you go there, you can see that the header matches the same that we have on the .org. And all the links up here link back to the website. And Algolia has been integrated. It's the same Algolia that we have on the website. So you can also search for your components in here. And if you click on anything, it goes back to the website. And that's all I have.
Awesome. Thanks, Joachim.
Thank you.
And Jesse's going to go over some accessibility fixes.
Yeah, so we've been trying to focus more on accessibility. So I'm going to share my screen here. We focused a lot on trying to make sure that the ID attribute value was unique. And to kind of give you guys a background of why we want to do this, the ID attribute value on the form control elements can be used as references by label elements. When the ID attribute values on the page are not unique, form controls may be incorrectly labeled. So ARIA labeled by and ARIA described by attributes also depend on unique ID values for labeling and adding descriptions to form controls. So to kind of give you guys an example of what I mean, I found this blog post that explained it really well. So let's say you have a form on your site and you ask for your full name and the phone number, but you have a hint for each of these, and the hint you make the same ID. So let's say you say hint or ID equals hint. For both, you can only use letters and you can only use numbers. So what's going to happen is that the aria described by is going to just say hint for both of them. And the screen reader will actually read the same hint for both. So now you have your users being asked for their phone number and being told they can only use letters and white spaces. So I created a PR to try to make sure we address that in all of our different segments. And yeah, just kind of focus on that issue and addressing, making sure that we have unique IDs.
Great, thanks, Jesse. All right, and moving on over to design docs, Gina's going to share card view in progress.
Thanks, Rachel. I'm going to share my screen. So I started working on some documentation on card view, and that directly relates to this demo that's on the PatternFly site right now. And so I kind of just went into when to use it, when not to use a card view, and then the differences between the card sizes that we have. So we have the standard and compact. And then I go into like the elements of a card, so a header, body, and footer, and then general guidance on how to create cards. And at the end here, I say the card view within a page, which is that demo that I was referencing beforehand. And I'll add some little pointers here so that these numbers actually match up to the interactions that you'll see. And at the end, I have the card view in mobile. But I'm looking for, it's a work in progress, so I'm looking for any feedback that anybody has. That link is on the agenda if you just want to go to the Google Doc and comment on it. And I think mostly what I'm looking for is some use cases that people have run into when they're trying to use card views, and anything that they would want to see documentation-wise on the site that would help them in using card view or just creating them. That's all.
Awesome, thanks, Gina. All right, that is the end of our agenda today. Does anyone have any questions for our team before we wrap up our meeting? Okay, thanks everybody for joining. Again, if a question comes up, you can find us on the forum, which is linked in the agenda, and we'll see you in about 2 weeks' time. Thanks everybody. Bye.